Okay, so in this video, we're going to add our enemy. So to add an enemy, we're going to create a new sprite. So here in the project view, right click, select create, and we will create this time a sprite. And this sprite that we're going to create is going to be a circle. So let's choose circle, hit enter, and we're going to do the same thing as with the square. We're going to drag the circle to the hierarchy. And now we're going to rename this circle in the inspector to enemy. So the name of our object is enemy. Alright, so now that we have our enemy, we can make sure we select it in the hierarchy, press W in the on the keyboard, and we can drag our enemy up here in the scene with the move tool, like this. Let's place it over here, and we can see that the enemy is a little bit too big. So zoom in to the scene with the wheel, with the mouse wheel, and then press T. And what we're going to do now is that we're going to resize this enemy. So to resize it, you can resize it like this, or you can hold shift and make sure that you resize it proportionally like this. So make it this size. And now what we're going to do with our enemy is that we actually want our player to move around the scene, and whenever it hits the enemy, we want to destroy the enemy or to eat the enemy. So to do this, what we're going to do is that first of all, we need to add a box collider to our player. So select our player, and here we're going to add a component called box collider. So in the inspector, hit add component and search for box collider 2D. Make sure that the box collider is the box collider 2D. All right, now if you zoom in, you might see, maybe it's a little bit difficult to see, but there's like a green outline surrounding the square. So make sure that that's done. And we're going to add another component to our player called a rigid body. So add a component, and this component is going to be a rigid body 2D. And if we leave the rigid body like this, it is set right now to dynamic. So if we press play, so go ahead, save and press play, we will see that the square will fall down. This happens because the rigid body that we added is set to dynamic. So let's set it to kinematic. So now it's in kinematic, and now if we hit play, you will see that the player is no longer affected by the gravity. All right, so we have that done. Now let's select our enemy, and we will add a component. Let's add a circle collider for the enemy. So circle collider 2D, hit enter. And if you zoom in, you might see that there is a green outline around the enemy. What we're going to do is that we're going to change the color of the enemy. So here in the sprite render component of the enemy, click color and change it. I'm going to change it to a dark red, like this. All right, so now that we have this done, make sure that the circle collider of the enemy has the is trigger option checked. So check that option. And now what we're going to do is that we're going to save, and we're gonna go back to Visual Studio. And in Visual Studio, in the player script, we're going to go down like this. We're gonna hit enter a couple of times, and after the update method, what we're going to do is that we're going to define a special method called onTriggerEnter. So press onTriggerEnter 2D. So when you see onTriggerEnter 2D, hit enter. And what this method does is that it listens for collisions with colliders that have the trigger box checked. So we're going to see if the collision, if we collide, if this collision that we're getting here as a parameter is the enemy. And if it is the enemy, we want to destroy it. So to do this, we're going to type in if collision. So if the collision that we get is, so dot compare tag. So if the collision that we get belongs to a game object that has the tag, and in here we're going to specify the tag. So the tag is going to be enemy. So this means that if we collide with a game object that we called enemy, then we want to actually destroy that enemy. So we're going to type in destroy collision dot game object. So this means that if we collide with a game object that has the tag enemy, then we're going to destroy that game object. But we haven't defined the enemy tag yet, so let's do it. Let's save the script, go back to the Unity editor, and here let's select our enemy and make sure that it has the enemy tag. So to make sure it has the enemy tag, go here under the name of the object, and you can see that it says tag untagged. So click here, click add tag, and now you can see that the list is empty. So let's hit this plus button and type in enemy, click save. And now select our enemy, go here to tags again, and add the enemy tag. All right, so now you can hit save and play the game. And now if we move our square, we should be able to destroy the enemy, and we do. Perfect. Okay, so that was it for this video. I'll see you in the next video.